Welcome back. You are tuned in to IBL, inspired by Onika, speaking on life and inspiring people. Welcome to this episode of Poetry Flip. So for anyone that's here for the first time, let me just give you a little background about what Poetry Flip is about. So in these episodes, I will recite some poems that I wrote on my blog, and I just randomly pick which ones, I'm going to recite for certain episodes, and it just depends. I may pick one that's related to something that's going on in the world at the time that I publish, or, I'll just pick something at random. And if you ever want to read the written version, you can head over to my blog at www.inspirebyOnika.com. That's INSPIREBYONIKA. And, if you ever hear me say, this poem is written in response to a prompt by one of my fellow bloggers, that just means that one of the bloggers has posted an image or a word or phrase, and they invite other writers to write a piece about that image or that word or phrase. And, you can join in or not join in. And just to keep it fun and interesting, they'll give you some guidelines. They might say, so your piece can be no more than 50 words, or it has to be 8 lines long, or you have to include a certain word in your piece. So they just give you different things just to keep it interesting and make it fun. So whenever you hear me say that's what it means. And even, the ones that I don't join in, I read what other people write too, because that just, to me, is interesting to see that we're all looking at the same image, but we all have such different perspectives. So, I think it's interesting. But anyway, so that's basically what that means when you hear me say that. And all the poems that I recite and that are on my blog, they are original poems that I wrote. So let's get started with today's featured poem. Hey everybody, and welcome to today's episode. And this is episode 42, and the title is Cracking the Concrete Stone, and this is number 10 in the Poetry Flip series. So this particular one, I wrote this back in May of 2024, and the image for this one is a concrete statue. It's a woman in a concrete statue, and her hands are opening her chest, and underneath the stone of the statue you can see something green inside, like some kind of evergreen. I don't know if it's moss, grass. It's just something green, and that's what you can see. Her hands are holding it open, and that's what you can see underneath the concrete. So this one I wrote in response to a picture prompt by one of my fellow bloggers, and so I'm going to go ahead and get into this one called Cracking the Concrete Stone, and I wrote this back in May of 2024. So here we go. Concrete outer shell, so hard and cold, full of cracks from head to toe. Breakthrough will quickly reveal the hardness is hollow, not as solid as it seems. Beneath the facade, softer inner core, unveiled and vulnerable, out there for all to see. Hardness uncloaked, softness appeared. With eyes closed, is difficult to see. Widened pupils recognize, duality unfolds, revealing what's underneath the crackling concrete stone. Poem. So that particular one, to me, how I can best describe it is that a lot of times we put up walls, we put up barriers, and we sometimes up here, we just come off very hardened. And sometimes it's just really a way to, it's kind of like an armor in a way, but we're not so tough and so hard. And so, we do have a softer side, okay? And, it's like at first glance, people wouldn't know that because they see you, and it could either be the expression on your face, it could be the way you conduct yourself. You just come off, you're hostile, you're brash, or you're just mean. Some people are just mean. But the thing is, we can have both that soft side, and when we need to, we can have the harder side as well. But it's just like, at some point, I feel like, at some point, you have to break away from that hardness, that meanness sometimes. Now, there's definitely situations where it's called for, but just saying that, we can't constantly be so hard and just so rigid all the time. Sometimes we have to show that softer side, and we can always turn people off because they're like, I don't want to be bothered with her because she's mean. She got an attitude, that kind of thing. But if they don't know you, then of course they're not going to know how you really are, and it just turns people away, and they're like, nope, I don't even want to talk to her. She just looks mean. I don't want to get shot down, or I don't just want to talk to her as a friend. So, I just want people to know that even though we may come off in that hardened way, we do have a softer side. And sometimes people, they don't understand that. They get misled because of what they see. They just see that hardness, that wall, that armor that you have. But at some point, it's going to start to crack, and it's going to start to fade away. So you don't always have to be so cold. You don't always have to be so hard. There is something underneath that is a lot softer, and people don't always see that. So until they're able to communicate with you and talk to you and see who you really are, they're not going to realize that, hey, this person, they're not so bad after all. So, it's kind of those things that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. But again, this is definitely a mechanism, a defense mechanism, because, excuse me, this is definitely a defense mechanism because sometimes you have to come off that way and you have to be that way, and it's for your own protection. You just have to do it. And, we don't always want to be like that, but, there's just some situations that just call for it. So there's nothing else we can do, because otherwise we're going to be somebody's victim, and we don't want to do that. So that is my poem today, and this is Cracking the Concrete Stone. I hope you enjoyed, and if you have any comments you'd like to share on that subject, if you like the poem, if you just want to share with a friend, your neighbor, your kids, anyone that you feel can resonate with this, anyone you feel that might exhibit these kinds of actions, leave a like. And I do appreciate you coming and listening to this episode today. And you can hear this and all episodes on the Podbean app, on YouTube, Amazon Music, Apple, and Spotify. So again, until next time, stay well and be blessed. Thank you for tuning in to another episode episode of the IBO podcast. You can hear this and all episodes on the Podbean app, YouTube, and Spotify. Until next time, stay well and be blessed.